Welcome back to WRPL, the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
I'm doing well, Ben. Pretend I'm not here.
And we have a special guest once again, Nick. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Only special guest you ever had.
That just means you're extra special, you know? Well, let's get a dice out. Let's roll.
Oh, yeah. That is something we do.
Die.
Oh, what did I do with it? Did Nick roll?
I think so. You can roll. We'll allow it.
I don't know. I'm pretty sloppy.
Is it a 9?
A 9.
All
Or
right.
no, a 6. Or is it a 9?
That is a 9.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Nick.
15.
15, pretty good.
He's gonna take your job, Steve.
4.
Oh,
He's
fuck.
taking yours.
Fuck. It's like a worse combined score than what we normally do. All right. So our main topic is Vox Machina. Sorry if you haven't watched Vox Machina, Nick, but you'll just have to plug your ears and go la 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 la.
By the time I do, I'll probably forget all this, so that's fine.
All right. I want to start with something small that I just kind of stumbled across on YouTube. It's called MultiversalWiisdom. The name doesn't make any sense. Apparently, it was going to be like a wisdom YouTube channel, but they scrapped all that and it's just Batman stuff. So pretty much it's a really simple premise. They have an AI voice for Batman. The screen is just like the Batcave with his Bat computers with all this like data going on and Bruce Wayne sitting in a chair. It's just a stagnant shot. But on the screen is his I don't want to say victim, but like who he's gonna fight. And it's anybody. And it's all about Batman, like what sort of preparation he would do to fight this person. There was, Black Widow, but there's also Goku, Jack Skellington, Art the Clown, anything. And it just goes like, well, if Batman had to fight these people, what would he do? And it's very simple. But it's exactly what all those super Batman fans always do. Like, well, if you just had this much time, he could totally take out the demon Art the Clown. Oh, he could totally take out super Godman Goku. I haven't watched them all, but I'm going through them little by little. And, they're pretty legit. It's pretty fun.
So he wins every single time?
Or it's not like he goes, they do the actual fight. It's just like, I'll need to keep this in mind and I'll have to do that. If this comes up, I'll try to do this, and just as best as he can.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool. It's worth it. They're like 3-4 minutes long. They're really short, but like,
Which is amazing because usually the stuff you pitch is like, it's only 3 hours.
yeah. I really want to watch I meant to watch it before I got here, but the Jack Skellington one, like,
Yeah, that was the one thing you said. I was like, what?
what? Like, what does he have that like Batman?
Is he dead? He's dead, I guess, already. So,
but it's just like Art the Clown. Like, well, he's a demonic thing, so I'm going to use nth metal that stops, ghosts and things like that. And I'll build a cage made out of nth metal, and I'll lure him in there. It's like, it all makes sense. But Jack Skellington, like, I don't know. When I picture Jack Skellington in our world, I don't picture a tall thing. I think of him as like a little doll. Like, I would just step on him. Like, he's not a real person, but no, I guess he would be like 8 feet tall.
I picture Steve.
All right. What else you got? You got anything that you want to bring up? It's been a long time.
I guess I have 2 movies that...
Well, I'm going to talk about Smile 2 and Venom 2. We'll get into those 2 later.
So I have those 2 other movies, 2 shows, and that's it.
Do it. Steve has jack shit. And I'm trying to keep it short just because since you are here, I have a feeling that we may go long, especially when it comes to Venom.
Okay, well, do you have stuff too?
I'm just going to talk about Smile 2 and Venom 2 and Vox Machina.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll start with the shows then.
Okay.
I'm watching through the 2nd season of the Frasier continuation.
Okay.
And the only reason I want to talk about it because like the original Frasier is one of my favorite shows of all time, or sitcoms I should say. The first season of this, like, it's not a reboot, it is like a sequel series, was not the best. I wouldn't say it's a tough watch, but it was just kind of like a soulless husk. Like the writers were not hitting the same or something. And of course,
does it have any of the original writers?
I don't know, to be honest with you, but it felt very generic. Like the jokes were, you could kind of see them coming a mile away. Like your typical generic sitcom of today.
I think Frasier is kind of like that in general. You may not know what he's going to say, but like you could just tell, here's the setup, and you know someone's got something witty in the next sentence.
Yes, but I will say, like, having watched that first series so many times, it's very smart humor.
Oh, yeah.
It's very clever. And even if you can kind of see where it's going sometimes, it's still really funny. Whereas the first season of this was kind of a letdown. But I'm going to stick with it, obviously, because I love the show. So I've been watching through season 2, which is not done yet, but I think it wraps soon. And I just earlier today actually watched the most recent one. And this is the first time a show, and this season, I should start by saying this season much better. I don't know if they took notes from people's complaints with the first season, changed writers. There is a lot more cameos from characters. We still haven't got Niles, although I have.
Seriously?
No, you have like his nephew is a main.
Is that the main new fresh face of the show?
Well, you have Freddie as his son. His son grown up. It's definitely a different actor than who played him when he was younger. Daphne has not shown up. But you've got Roz has come like twice.
Okay.
But no, you haven't got Niles yet. David Hyde Pierce, I read, said initially he said no, and now I've heard he said I'd come back for a cameo. So I could see him coming back. And if they kept that under wraps and he's in the end of this season, that's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to quickly talk.
I can just see people watching Frasier like, oh fuck, is that Niles? Shit.
Yes, that would be me. That would be me. But no, this last episode, and I can't even do what the joke was because you know me and I love like a callback, and it was just a callback joke to like something that they said in the beginning of the episode. I'm just thinking of right now and it's making me laugh. I laughed and I cried. Like I laughed so hard I cried, and I cannot tell you the last time anything, movie, show has made me laugh so hard that tears came out. So yeah,
you're gonna have to record this and like do a little edit and
like
send it to me. But the first joke, the setup and then the payoff, because
but there's a lot of like nuance to it, like in the whole episode. So it's kind of like I don't know. Anyway, it's really good. If you are a fan of Frasier, I don't know who listening to this is, but and you skip the first season of the sequel series for whatever reason, that's fair. But I think this one is a lot better. And I'm having a much better time with it. So, yeah,
right, good. Definitely not anything I'm going to pick up.
My only question is, I never really watched Frasier growing up. Like, I know the premise and I know what some of the characters look like. So no, it's just
so basic.
I just have a general.
I can recognize faces.
Yeah, and like you were saying names. I'm like, I don't necessarily know if that's what I'm thinking of, but I think it is. Anyway. My question. So the father, Frasier's father died years ago, correct?
Yes.
Did they do that thing where, like kind of on Community when Chevy Chase left, it's like, oh, we'll replace him with Jonathan Banks. We'll just get another, or Keith David. We'll get another old guy to be like the crotchety old man character, or did they just go a completely different direction? Like, who is filling that role, or is there no one filling that role? It's just all sort of a new take on Frasier, where there's not some like guy in a chair complaining all the time.
We definitely don't have his dad. Like his dad died in between these series, so they just kind of describe, like they talk about his dad having passed, but it didn't happen on the show. There is an old character on the show that I would say maybe is what you're talking about, kind of, but he's a much different type of character. He's actually my least favorite character on this new series, but yes, in a way, yes, to your question.
Is he like the next door neighbor, or
no? He is a no, there is a next door neighbor. I was actually going to post something about this the other day, like one of those like, oh, I watched this movie or show for the plot, and then it's like two beautiful women. There's two just gorgeous women on the show, definitely my type. I don't know if they'd be either of your guys' type, but there's a across the hall neighbor. She's on there and she's really pretty, and then she's like, there's like one of the head board members or teachers at Harvard is a character, and she's my type, definitely. But yes, there is a cross the neighbor character, but it's nothing like that. Yeah. Cool. You said you don't have any shows?
Well, I mean, like, I'm watching Penguin, but like we got 2 episodes left. We'll talk about that when it's done. I'm watching Agatha All Along, and you know what?
I forgot about that.
Maybe better than the Penguin. I'm gonna say it. It's one of the best Marvel TV shows so far. It's got 2 episodes left coming out Wednesday, and every episode is better than the last. Just, it's a silly, goofy, good time, but it's so well written and all the characters are wonderful. It's great.
Is there, because I'm behind on a couple Marvel shows, what is the Marvel show or shows that I need to be up to date on to watch that?
WandaVision and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is the only things you need to know.
Okay. I'm down to watch that then.
Cool. Yeah, no. You don't get to watch that until you watch X-Men.
Oh, yeah, so true. So true.
Do you think the twist at the end, it'll be that it wasn't her all along?
Actually, there may be a bit to that. Because there is a character, I mean, maybe not all along, but maybe for this season, you think she's, doing a lot of this stuff, but it may be someone else doing stuff. So I'll leave it at that.
Mephisto?
They do mention Mephisto. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mephisto.
What else?
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much time, but I know I talked to you about a little bit, but I watched and finished the Uzumaki anime adaptation. I won't go on too long about that. I'll just say I'm a big fan of the manga, so I've been looking forward to this for a very long time.
Steve, you didn't watch this? Oh, okay.
It was announced like 4.5 years ago, so it's something like we've really been anticipating, or at least fans of the manga have been. Episode 1, again, I know I've talked to you about it a little bit. Really solid.
Talk to Steve. Don't look at me. Tell Steve about it.
Okay. I'll just talk in general. Episode 1, pretty solid. Pacing is a little breakneck. They're condensing a 700-ish page manga into 4 25-minute episodes, so what do you expect? It should have been 6. That's my biggest complaint with it. I wish there was a little more time to breathe with some of the subplots, because the whole manga is, there's an ongoing story, and there's a lot of little kind of split off side stories. And they just kind of shoehorn a lot of them in. But the first episode is really solid. Animation, very striking. The pacing was my only issue with it, but I liked it. Then you get to episode 2, which is now like infamous for being such a steep drop off in quality. It's bad, and I can see a lot of people having watched episode 2 and deciding, nah, I'm done with this. Especially people who didn't read the manga and aren't attached to it. It's just the pacing gets even worse. You're not 2 minutes after you're introduced to a side character, a side plot, or is it wrapping up? And you're just like, wait, what? It's so jarring. I hate episode 2, and then obviously, what the animation has been talked about enough.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm gonna stick with it. So then episode 3 comes out, and I think it was a slight step up. The pacing is a little better. Things have a little more space to breathe. Animation was not as noticeably bad. I think maybe I'd love to know the story behind.
Yeah, I don't know how you can announce something 4 years ago, only do 4 episodes, and have a fourth or more of it look like shit. It just doesn't make any sense.
I know one of the producers tweeted like something about budget constraints and
don't greenlight something if you can't pay for it, fuckers.
Yeah, I'd love to know a little bit more about it, but basically he summed it up by saying like we had to put it out as is or not at all, which I'm like, why? I'd love to know a little bit more. His tweet was a little vague.
Hold on to it and like maybe get more funding, or like no, they'll own it and then we will not be able to touch it at all, and then it'll be someone else's baby.
I honestly don't know, but I also would like to know why I think episode 3 and 4 look better than 2 even. Like, why is 2 the worst looking one?
They could have animated them out of order as well.
I guess
then
that's
2
true.
is the last one they do, and they're like, fuck, we are out of money. Well,
That could be it. But yeah, that leads me into what I was going to say next. Is like 3 was a step up, and then 4 caps it all off. And I actually really dug episode 4. Where you leave off in episode 3, I knew what was left of the manga. I actually just reread it, and I saw everything I wanted to see in the last episode. It wrapped up pretty nicely. Yes, there's a few things, as this is an ongoing theme with the whole thing. I would have liked a little more time with this, whatever. But whatever. It should have been 6 episodes. But it wraps up really nice. And you get a nice epilogue into like a look into the future of the town after this curse has run its course in the town. You get to see like the future of the town, and right as it's setting up another cycle of the curse.
Okay.
And that is not in the manga, so that was like a nice addition. That was like the showrunners like, we're gonna give you something a little extra, and yeah, I recommend it still. Just know what you're getting into. If you like horror, if you're okay with anime, especially something animated a little differently from your run-of-the-mill anime, if you're familiar with Junji Ito at all, any of his stuff, you'll like it. You just know that episode 2 is going to be rough. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
I saw a thing about the worst looking or the worst animated anime, and it was like Black Demon is some soccer.
Oh,
anime?
Blue Lock?
Blue. Okay.
That's like a recent one, yeah.
Have you watched that?
I don't care about that.
I didn't think you would, but I just wondered which one actually is worse animation.
I saw the clips, probably the same clips that you saw that were going around, and it looks
It's just
bad.
like still animation of somewhat like just a cutout sliding across the screen.
It's hard to say because you might just be seeing part of one episode, whereas like same thing with episode 2 of Uzumaki. I think it's just moments. It's just bits and pieces that are so bad looking, whereas some of it is okay looking. And it's such a weird bounce back. Like I said, I don't know if you saw any of my TikTok review of it, but there are moments in episode 4 that I could have paused and just like hung on a wall. Like it's really, and same thing with the manga. I think I talked to you about this before as well. Like when you're reading any comic or manga, you kind of catch yourself sometimes just reading the bubbles and moving the story along.
Yeah.
But you really got to pause and like look at the frames, because especially in Junji Ito stuff, like they're really detailed and intricate frames of art. So if you are somebody that's just trying to get through it and you're just reading the bubbles, you're missing out on half of the
That was my
experience.
problem with comic books. It was just I'm reading, so
Yeah.
I'm reading, switch, and then it's like I didn't sit and savor any of that.
I'm not saying you gotta sit there and stare at it for a minute, but like I like to like read the bubble and then look over the page before I look to the next one.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I got one little thing. I forgot to do it at top. A little bit of news, and like I don't want to say, oh, I called it, because I think a lot of people called it, but Blade shelved indefinitely. Wow, big surprise. Who would have fucking known after 6 writers, 3 directors, actors have dropped out. I mean, you cast a guy who's already probably a little on the older side to be playing this, and now he's well into his 40s, or I don't know, maybe he's not in his 50s yet. No, I don't think so. But yeah, not a big surprise. And it's like the easiest one out of any Marvel property they could do. Like they already have 3 movies and a whole TV show. There was an anime. There's groundwork already laid, and it's just vampires. You don't have to worry about Asgardians and weird alien interdimensional things. They're just vampires. How hard is it to like get a cohesive story with vampires?
yeah, I would also love to know what's going on. What's the holdup? But this makes the Wesley Snipes, cameo and his little jabs and Deadpool Wolverine even better.
And it's like I almost even wonder if after that happened and everybody was so happy to see him, that the studio got a little worried, like, "Ooh, maybe we should just bring him back. Should we do a Blade 4?" And it's like, just stop thinking about what's popular now and just keep moving.
Yeah.
He's 50, by the way.
Oh, he's 50. Okay.
Turned 50 this year.
Yeah. So, by the time it's out, he's 53. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Looks like a good way for Jonathan Majors to make his way back into to the Marvel franchise.
I think they've decided maybe enough time has passed. They're putting out that Magazine Dreams movie still. They didn't they put it to the side, and now they're actually putting it out. So maybe they're like, people are over it.
I think that I feel bad for Jonathan Majors. After everything, he was going to be the next big bad. They were doing so much. Like, Loki season 2 is now kind of like stupid because it has so much of Jonathan Majors stuff in it. I mean, he is the worst thing about it. But and I don't have a real good connection with Kang. I don't give a shit about this character. But it really felt like we were moving to something, and now they're panicking, and now we're getting Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Like, oh, maybe if we held out just a little bit longer, but oh well.
Yeah.
Tough titties. Okay. Like, I'm not going to talk about them, but 2 good movies. Caddo Lake on,
I wanted to watch that.
is it Hulu, I believe? Or maybe it's
HBO.
Prime.
HBO,
HBO.
yeah.
Good shit. Dylan O'Brien. That's his name. No, Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan O'Brien having a great year.
Crushing it this year.
It's a movie where I can't tell you what it's about because that would give away the twist that's like an hour into it. So it's a good movie. Watch it. It's worth your time. And also, Woman of the Hour, the Anna Kendrick. She's on a dating show, and there's a real life serial
That was
killer.
pretty solid.
It is. It's pretty solid. It's not the most amazing thing. It's very simplified. The more you think about it afterwards, like, well, what about that character? Whatever happened with this and that? And like, you want a little more answers, but all in all, good stuff. Worth your time, I think. And she's so charming. Anna Kendrick is just a lovely
Did that come to
person.
streaming? Was that?
That was on Netflix, yeah.
Oh, it's on Netflix. Okay.
Yep. Do you want to talk about Smile 2 before some of your other stuff?
No, because they only. No, I can go through my 2 movies
Okay,
real
go
quick.
quick.
Yeah,
You
I'll
get
go
a minute
quick.
each.
Oh, okay. Well, nobody cares about the My Hero movie, I'm sure,
Nope.
except for Steve to the right of me.
Nope, even he doesn't care. Moving on. He hates that show.
I actually forgot to mention. I don't think I talked about it. I finished season 7 of My Hero.
I thought you told me many, many months ago, it's finally done. I'm all caught up and it's done. There's no more. And this movie was like the last thing.
No,
but there's another season coming?
There's one more season.
One more,
coming.
Oh my God.
I told you that the manga is over and I read that.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But-
God.
Yeah, least favorite season so far, I think. And it's like supposed to be one of the better ones just because it's like we're in the final stages. This is like the big battles that are happening. And by the end, I was like, I can't wait for the show to be over. It's not that I dislike it. It's just I'm tired of watching it, kind of.
Yeah. And like What We Do in the Shadows is excuse me. What We Do in the Shadows is back and it's season 6 and I'm like, oh, it's sad that it's going. But the first 3 episodes are out and I wasn't laughing my ass off, but it's still funny enough, but I think, well, maybe it is good that leave before it gets too bad.
Yeah, things can go on too long,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, well, I won't say anything about the movie, other than there's been 4 movies for this show so far. It's my least favorite of the 4, but I still had a good time with it. If you like the show, you'll like the movie. I'm only a few episodes into season 7. I've really enjoyed the first few. I don't know if it gets rough from there, but yeah. And then the other movie I saw earlier today was We Live in Time. I was really looking forward to that movie. I know I've told you many times, I love a downer. And I knew it was going to be sad. And I won't talk too much about it. It's one of those movies where you're jumping between time periods. So it's like you're seeing when they met, you're seeing when she gets diagnosed with cancer, you're seeing when she's in remission, when they have a baby. It's going back, forth, whatever. But not in a confusing way. It's fine. It is sad, not quite as sad as I thought it was going to be, actually. I probably cried a little bit more in The Wild Robot, which I know you didn't talk too much about on this, but you should have, because that movie rules. But yeah, We Live in Time is good. Sad, inspirational at times, very well acted, no surprise. It's really good if you like those kind of movies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like I was just telling Steve. I like those two, but I don't give
they're
a
great.
shit about their relationship and falling in and out of love. Like I saw Conclave today because I don't see enough movies with substance. I see a bunch of genre stuff, lots of horror, lots of sequels, remakes, and all the dumb blockbustery stuff. And I don't see the award-winning things enough. So I took a risk, and it's fine. Yeah,
I'm sure it's good.
just fine. Yeah,
I saw the reviews for it. You said you're going to see it, and I was like, I just don't know. It has to be your type of thing.
Yeah.
So, like We Live in Time, I was kind of hoping for a marriage story type thing.
sure.
I love Marriage Story. Or even like Past Lives. I don't know if either of you saw Past Lives. It kind of falls somewhere in between those. It's not quite as over dramatic as Marriage Story, but it's definitely not as subdued and realistic, although it is very realistic, as Past Lives. But there's a scene or two in there where it's like, oh yeah, these two can act for sure. It's very good. But if you weren't interested in it enough to go see it, then
the thing that interested me the most was that dumb horse on the poster. With the stupid face, the carousel horse.
Oh, when they're on the carousel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That just because it's funny, but anyhow.
Yeah, it's good though. But I recommend it to people who like that kind of stuff.
All right, we didn't get to talk about it last week, which, because I was sick as hell and I couldn't. Last weekend, total blur. I was in bed 23 hours of the day. I would get up, eat a little bit, go to the bathroom, and then right back to bed.
That's my dream day, man.
It sucked because I don't get sick that often, and so when I do, it really like kicks my ass, and I'm a big baby about it. But I lost my weekend. I didn't even get to go see Smile 2 opening weekend, but I got to see it this week, and this movie fucking rules. I love
Smile
this
2 is
movie.
awesome.
And like Smile 1 was that type of trailer you watch and go, really? A horror movie about smiling? This is stupid. But it turned out to be a legit good movie.
Yeah.
And this one just ups it completely. And I love this movie.
I did too. I said in my TikTok review about it that I think a lot of people may have skipped the first one and also wanted to skip this one because of what you just said. The smiling, might have been gimmicky, cheesy to them. This is not that. Like, if you slapped the A24 logo on the poster for this movie, it would totally make sense to me. These are serious, somber, well done horror movies.
Yeah, they're artistic. Like, the scene where all the dance people are like crawling after her. Amazing scene, and I can see that getting parodied in the future because it'll become this iconic scene. The only thing I found a little silly, and they used it in the ads, is when she's looking in the mirror and her friend that killed herself is behind and like forcing her to do the smile with his fingers. It looks a little goofy. That's
the movie though, what a loud ass jump scare.
Yeah. Really good jump scares. Normally jump scares piss me off because they're so cheap, but they really work. Like the friend laying in the bed and her face lights up like it's the car horn. Damn, that got me. And that's a really good one.
But I do think there's at least one or two, and I can't remember them because I did see it like over a week ago now, but there are one or two jump scares in there that were cheap, I think.
Sure,
there was no payoff. There was no reason for them. There was no reason for my heart to be palpitating like that after that. Like, you didn't have to do that to me, but I get it.
It is a little long as well, and I think if you were to cut anything out, the whole stuff with her friend could have been cut out. I know it does pay off, and it's all, she's been possessed, with this thing for a while, and it's all good. But you probably could have trimmed that and gotten a little bit tighter. And my only other complaint is when she does, spoilers, kill herself at the end, it's kind of dumb. It's just a microphone into the eyeball. Like, you want something a little bit more. Yes, we, the audience, get to see the big smile monster, ripping out of the body. And, like, that's always amazing. I love that creature. But the people in the audience just seeing her with a microphone in her eye, like, kind of like, if she, like, shoved it in there and was, like, jamming her face against the floor, something, but...
Yeah, to end with that, although I guess, like you said, we did get to see the monsters a lot, very clearly, so maybe that was kind of the big thing. But after seeing a dude smash his face in with a weight...
God, that
was just not that effective.
The prosthetics on that was so good.
So good.
It's disgusting. You seen his jaw falling off.
Yeah, like Terrifier 3 just came out, and obviously known for being extremely over-the-top gore, but I don't think anything because there's such like a heightened sense of almost like silliness. I know you said it when you talked about Terrifier, like when you have art just cracking up, mime laughing in your face the whole time, it just takes the edge off a little bit. But when he's smashing his face in with that weight and she's just watching in horror, like the gore is just a lot more effective to me. Yeah. That was just a rough scene in a good way.
Yeah, Terrifier really did feel like, look at us chop up all these rubber body parts.
Yes, it looks a little cheap, fun.
Really good for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But this felt much more grounded.
And I do think there's some CGI mixed into that to make it look a little better. So that's budget coming into play. But yeah, that's a really effective scene. And I also said in my review that opening is really tense.
I love Kyle Gallner.
He's great.
This dude just like makes a fuck ton of movies every year, and it's just nobody knows him. He's just that weird kind of trashy looking guy, but he kills it. Everything.
I was talking to someone at work the other day who loves Jennifer's Body, and I do too. She didn't even realize he was the goth kid in that. And I'm like, this dude just be working. He's just in some good stuff.
Strange Darling, not too long ago.
Yeah, Strange Darling was awesome.
Yeah, that opening was great, and like I kind of forgot he was even in the first one. I wanted to rewatch it, but I couldn't place like who was the guy in that. I'm like, oh yeah, it was him.
I didn't rewatch it, but I have seen it. I had seen it twice, and then I just did like a YouTube like rewatch of the recap before I went in. But it really does pick up pretty quickly right after the first one.
Yeah, I like that. when you start a movie and it said like 6 days later in the corner, and you think it's going to jump back in time. A normal movie would jump back in time, and you would lead up to that. And like, no, you just watched Smile 1. This is 6 days later. It is like a perfect, just flows perfectly from one to the next.
Yeah. Watching them bang the drug dealers, like when he tries to leave the house and they're just like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And they're like, he's like, oh shit. And it's just like him trying to get out while they're banging in the door. It's just like, I'm just sitting there like, damn, this movie's getting right into it.
It's
like
really tense right from the get-go.
I have a question though about the end, and I'm sure you feel the same way, and I'm sure we're gonna get a franchise out of this. And I'm maybe everybody has this question. If they all witnessed her kill herself, are they all possessed?
I don't think so. I think the demon can only possess one person
just picks
at a time.
one of them out.
Because 1 million people in the world have seen other people kill themselves or die tragically. Just watching on the internet, we've seen people get their heads cut off.
Maybe not by that monster.
Yeah, so I think when it happens,
that demon.
My logic with it is, so say the demon knows someone's coming after it and like, okay, it's following the chain. I could just go to any other person, but they can follow that chain. If I do kill this pop star in front of all these people, who do you know? Who did I possess? There's no way that for you to keep following the chain because it could be any one of these 10,000 people.
So it's just going to pick one of them.
It's just going to pick one person, I think.
That makes a lot more sense, but... what kind of movie would the next one be if it possessed all of them?
Everybody, it'd be a pandemic. Yeah, it'd be impossible to do.
It'd turn this like apocalyptic horror movie.
I think the next one will probably be simpler, and it'll be. I just kept thinking of like Trap during that scene, and like, there'll be a dad in the audience who took the kid. He gets possessed, and it's like, wow, that was crazy. My daughter's going to be scarred. Well, off to my job at the oil rig, and it'll be something simple like that where it's middle of the ocean, him with a group of 25 guys on an oil rig or a fishing boat or something. It'll be a lot smaller.
Just infecting one after the other.
Yep.
Yeah. That just reminded me another thing about this movie, not a complaint, but like, it's a tough watch for me at times because like it's so hard for me to watch movies where someone is going through something that's making them look insane and everybody around them, especially in this movie because of the stakes that are on her shoulders as a pop star that's like been through things in the past that people are having to keep an eye on her kind of. It's just such a frustrating watch. Like she looks insane to everybody and she can't convince anybody. Nobody else is seeing what she's seeing. It's just like, it's so hard watching her disappoint and let down everybody and confuse everybody. I don't know. That was frustrating. And then also there's a scene in this movie with an IV that I'm still thinking about.
It's fucking rough.
Nothing irked me more. Like all three Terrifier movies combined did not irk me as much as this 60-second scene. Like, whoever shot this movie and decided to linger on her arm that long while she fiddled with this IV, I'm going to find you. That was so rude.
Yeah, because, Steve, to paint a picture, it's towards the end. Everyone thinks she's because she had problems with drugs, and this is her comeback. And if she's on drugs again, they're going to lose a ton of money and everything. So she's in this wellness clinic and she has an IV in her arm and it's taped down like 10 times. And she's seeing her mom doing smile crazy stuff and stabbing herself in the face. And so she's pulling on it like as hard as she can. And it's just tugging on the skin because there's so much tape and she has to peel it out. And it's so realistic looking. And being I was in the hospital like 4 years ago and having an issue with them finding my veins and having to do them over and over again. And then when they were taking the tape off, it came out loose. And I always thought it was a hard needle in your arm, but it's not. It's a flexible needle. And then so the flexible needle came out and like whipped and like sprayed blood on the nurse's face. And like, it's so gross.
Yeah, there's nothing grosser than a vein. Like, veins are so disgusting. Yeah.
Let's see. Drinking game for Smile 2. Every time she chugs water, you got to chug your drink. This chick drinks so much water, like full bottles of Voss water in a single take.
Yeah, Voss had to be a sponsor.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so my only question, as someone who hasn't seen Smile 1 or 2, shocked to see that you guys think they're so great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a new
fantastic.
Classic. Yeah,
it's nice to hear. Maybe I'll check them out. My other question is, you and I have talked many times about horror movies, and a big pet peeve of ours is like rules and logic. And how does this thing? Is this so? You mentioned that you actually see the creature. Did you see it in the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not as big, but you do see it.
So I assume let's just assume it's some. I'm just assuming it's some demonic creature.
Kind of.
And-
Think of like a skinless, multi-jawed lady on all fours.
Okay. But we don't have. There's no like where they go to the library and like, oh, this thing's been in this town since 1902 or
like
something.
in the
Or,
first one,
there's an alien crash and
they no in the we just know they talk about it in this one, like we don't know what it is. You might as well just call it a demon. Like he uses a bunch of names for it. Like we have no idea what its origin is. It's just its thing.
Could be from another dimension or something.
Yeah, we have no idea. There's no one like looking up information, but there's always someone that says, my brother killed themselves in front of this person, then that person killed themselves, and they're following the chain, but they don't have answers except, I think if we can kill you before if we kill you and let your heart rate drop, it will go away without being able to jump into another body, and then I'll bring your heart rate back. And like maybe that's the only way. Really, the only way you can stop it is you go into the middle of the fucking woods and blow your brains out without anybody around to witness it. But for all you know, the smile monster is making you think you're in the middle of the woods and you're actually sitting in the middle of a Chuck E. Cheese and you blow your brains out in front of a bunch of kids. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does have established rules. We just don't have a reason for this thing being like it.
We don't know why it's here, but
it makes you kill yourself. And then it just is satisfied with that. Like
it feeds off of the craziness, that you make, and then it makes you kill yourself in front of someone. Jumps to that person, does the same thing over and over again. The only way you can get rid of it is you have to kill someone in front of someone, and like Kyle Gallner.
It doesn't matter.
Is trying to do it, like killing this guy, but the other guy like takes a bullet and so he dies too, and like fuck, someone else needs to witness me kill someone in order to get rid of it. And then he gets hit by a car and it's just like smeared along the ground.
Smears into a smile.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, fair enough.
Let me ask you, Nick. The lead actress, the Pink Power Ranger and
Dakota,
Jasmine herself. No, her name.
I've seen her name.
Naomi Scott.
There you go. What did I say?
Does she look like anyone to you? Because my roommate was saying in this movie she looked like what's her name? The wicked bitch with the ponytail. Ariana Grande. And I was like, no, she doesn't. And like, yeah, she does. And like, she looks more like Florence Pugh than anything. She's like, no, hair. You're just looking at the hair. I was like, no, I see it in the face more, but I do not see Ariana Grande.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see either because Florence has such a round face. I don't really see either, but she's pretty. I mean, yeah. There was something else I was going to say before you wrapped this up. Oh, no, I guess you kind of touched on it. I really like that we get that little when someone else who's dealt with it, his brother has had to deal with it, and that brother kind of learned a little bit about it, and you at least get a little explanation for why it likes to play with its food, kind of, because a lot of times, even in slasher movies, it's just like, just kill them already. Why are you? But at least in this movie, it's like, oh, it likes to torment you and mess with your mind. And when you're at your most like frantic and you're most frustrated, and that's when it finally takes you, because that's
like Pennywise, he
and
feeds off that.
Yep. Yeah, it is kind of very Pennywise-y because it's also kind of like maybe an otherworldly being.
Can make you see things. So
yeah.
Does it have a name, or is it just the smile?
I don't know. I like how much it talked in this. I don't remember it talking as much in the first movie at all. Like it's pretty much like telling her like, yeah, I'm fucking with you and I love fucking with you.
Yeah, and keeps fucking with. In the first one, it was very small. I mean, there's that great scene with the cat in the box. Like she killed her cat. Like that's brutal. But it has that same where, the sister runs up to the car and then the head comes swinging down. And that's like so silly. I hate that. There was nothing in here that I thought was a little too corny.
No.
And like at the end when she is going mad and they like split her face open and you see down her throat, like what an amazing effect. Just really beautiful gore.
Yeah, it's really good. Like I said, anyone who skipped the first one or this one because you think it's cheesy or gimmicky, it's really not. If you like Steve here, if you liked It Follows, you've seen It Follows, right?
I love It Follows.
Yeah. If you like It Follows, this is It Follows. Like just to a different degree.
Yeah.
I would much rather deal with the It Follows demon. You tell me I just have to have sex with somebody to pass it along. Dope.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to kill somebody in front of but
yeah.
it's very similar to that movie. If you like It Follows, there's no reason you won't like this movie.
Well, that's why you'd be safe from the It Follows monster, Nick.
Yeah, getting someone to sleep with me I'm screwed.
That's the scariest thing.
All right. The other big release this week, Venom 2. No, Venom
3.
The Last Dance. Yeah, that's right. Venom The Last Dance or Venom 3.
Hopefully you'll laugh, dance.
God, please. Like, I've never been a fan of any of these movies. They're not even like dumb fun for me. They're just stupid. And they're not just stupid and like poorly written and badly acted, but they're really annoying too. Venom and Eddie are so obnoxious. They're not a fun like buddy comedy duo. Every time they're on the screen, I'm like, let's go to a different character. Oh, let's get to the dumb scientists. Like, God, they are so fucking boring. But at least it's not Eddie losing his shoes or Venom dancing with that woman. It's so fucking dumb. I hate this movie so much.
Yeah, it's not good. I do have moments of dumb fun with these movies, and I do kind of like their back and forth in moments. But I did just rewatch 2 before this, and I think it was the first time I've seen it since theaters. It is bad. It's really bad. It's way worse than I remember. So maybe I should rewatch 1, and maybe I'd feel differently about it.
I think I only saw 1 the first time. And like besides special effects, I don't think these movies have anything going for it.
Yeah, the effects
are pretty good.
Yeah, Carnage looks so good in that second movie, but it's just like this version of Venom. And I'm not even like a comic book fanboy with these characters. It's a bad version of Carnage.
Yeah,
like Woody Harrelson, terrible. I mean, I know we're not talking about Let There Be Carnage, but it's just a bad version of Venom. It's a bad version of Carnage. It's just a bad version of all of them. But they look cool when the CGI is going full effect.
And at least this one, at the very end, you get 30 minutes of like crazy symbiote
all different
action.
Symbiotes,
but like by that time, I'm so checked out. I'm not invested at all. You have that stuff with the family in the van. Like I like what's her name, Alana Erbach.
She's from Ted, right? She's
the mom from Ted. That's what I love her. She's so good. But why are they in this?
Or the chick from Fargo being in this, or Chiwetel Ejiofor or whatever. What is he doing in this movie?
It's all real stupid. It's all not interesting. And then to tie Null, this kind of cool looking character with interesting symbiote background, but does nothing for like the stakes of, oh my God, Venom and Eddie, they can't be one. They can still exist, but Venom can't take over. Otherwise, the key is found. It's like, okay, well then just don't do that. And he constantly keeps turning into Venom and getting caught. Like when he's dancing with Miss Chang.
Oh yeah.
Like you deserve everything that happens to you. There's a really easy fix to this. It's just don't show up as Venom anymore.
Yeah, and when I got out of the movie, I tried to do a coherent review of it myself, and I was trying to remember like how and like what the reason for them producing the key and why did they have this key again? Because they go over it real quick.
Died together and then were reborn. So that created the key that would unlock the creature.
Yeah, just roll with them.
And like,
it's so stupid.
And it's the same writer for all 3 movies. And she directed this one. Like, you couldn't have... I would have rather had... there's another meteor. It's filled with symbiotes, and they're trying to get Venom because like they want to unify back to their planet or whatever. And it's just Venom trying to kill these other symbiotes. It's something as simple as that. But adding Null in it was absolutely stupid.
Yeah, I was also saying in my review of this movie that like you can count on one hand how many minutes Null is in this movie.
Yeah.
and it's not 5. And you can count how many times you see his face even on one hand, and it's not 5.
It's not even 2.
It's like he's not in this movie. If you're hoping for like a big showdown with him at all, and like I knew they were planning on him to be like a big thing moving forward in whatever they're gonna do in the MCU, but I still thought he was in this movie a little bit.
Yeah.
He's not in this movie at all.
And it's like, oh, well, we want to move forward with this villain for Spider-Man. Don't introduce him in Venom, the movie that doesn't have Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it's about to be over. Like, we're not even going to see this, I hope, this version of Venom anymore.
Yeah,
so
I hope it's absolutely dead. And, like, the most obvious when they're like, oh, we're decommissioning Area 51. We gotta burn everything with acid so nothing's left behind. Like, I wonder how they're going to kill the thing that you can't kill. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good.
It's not good. I liked the little Venom animals. Like, I wish they didn't show the horse in the trailer. That would have been a fun surprise. But then you get, like, a Venom frog and a Venom fish. And, like, I wish we got a little bit more of that. But, no, this movie's fucking stupid, and I hate it.
Yeah, there's not much that I can pull away positive out of this movie. Yeah. Like, even like maybe it's a better movie as a whole than the second one, because I like the second one's really bad. There's some lines from Woody Harrelson in that movie is just awful. What a bad casting in general. But
at first when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's perfect. If you think of him in Natural Born Killers, that is kind of Cletus Cassidy, this crazy psychopath that's willing to kill, but that's the 90s.
Yeah.
He's too old for it now. I mean, maybe, what's his face who played Rorschach? He could play a good Cletus Cassidy.
Oh, yeah, I could have seen that.
You know, or Eyebrows Kid, you know?
Jackie Earle Haley and Will Poulter.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for chiming in.
It's all right. When you get your Vox Machina talk, I'll be taking a step back. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to be said about this movie? It's bad. I was going to say, it may be a better movie as a whole than 2, just because I just watched 2, and 2 is so bad. But at least 2, you got to look at Carnage for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, they're really... Yes, you get some cool symbiotes at the end of this, but as somebody who's not familiar with all these symbiotes and stuff, I can tell that these were characters that, like, nerds were going to be, like, nerding out over. But me, I was just like, I've seen that artwork before, but cool.
Oh, it's the purple one.
The one with hair.
Yeah.
Cool.
And in this, it's like she has super speed. She doesn't have super speed in the comics. Why even do that?
Because the writer who wrote this doesn't know shit about shit and just decided to make a key that exists when people die. Like, it makes no sense.
It's so dumb.
It's just dumb.
Yeah. Definitely going to be on my worst of the year list, for sure.
I can see that.
Well, I mean, I imagine it also doesn't help the movie that, you know, you had the first 2, and then you have Spider-Man 2 come out, which is like fantastic use of Venom and anti-Venom and, what was it, Scream or Screech, or what was the Mary Jane version?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sure, Scream.
Yeah. But like you have this like really awesome use of those characters, and then you get this piece of shit. So let me ask you guys, where does this rank among the Sonyverse, like Morbius, Madam Web, all those films? Is this worse because it's like trying to be good and fails, and it's not like
3
dumb
Venoms,
fun, or
Morbius,
is it like it's
Madam Web? That's it.
Oh, okay.
And then Craven this December. I have a feeling Craven's going to be the best one.
Yeah, I hear it's going to be pretty graphic, like a hard R, so I'll take that.
Yeah. Hard R.
A hard R. The Venom movie should have been rated R. I mean, from the jump.
But it's like at that time, Logan had come out when Venom came out, right?
Yeah.
So ridiculous. You had
Logan,
you had Deadpool, and
they did enough to make 3 of them.
They made enough.
Although it's underperforming, I hear the third one.
It's hard to say like what's the best one since they're all bad.
Yeah.
I would say if you laid them all out and said you have to watch one tonight, I'm probably going to rewatch Madam Web because I'm going to laugh, and it's got pretty girls in it. I'm never going to watch Morbius again. I'm never going to watch any of the Venom movies again. They're done. Maybe I'd watch the first one because it's been so long, but Madam Web, I don't know. I think we were too hard on it. With all the shit that has come out this year, Madam Web is not the worst and may not even make my top 10 worst movies of the year. Madam Web is not that bad. In hindsight.
Okay, so I might have said Let There Be Carnage before I just rewatched it. I'm going to say the first Venom would be the best of those for me.
Yeah.
But that's a bad 5. I don't know. I don't want to watch any of them.
I
I own every single one of them.
of course, we're not discussing that. Of course you do. Being good does not mean it has to be good for you to own it. Not at all.
No.
I'd say Morbius is better than this. I'd say probably this and Let There Be Carnage are the two worst ones for sure.
Which ones have you seen of them, or none of them?
I've only seen.
You saw Venom with us, right?
Nope, I've never seen any of the Venoms. I've only seen Madam Web and Morbius. Unfortunately,
You got to do a triple feature ASAP.
I swore all three of us went and saw it at the theater at the mall. What movie was that then? Anyhow, all right. All right, let's get to our main topic. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for coming in chat, because this would have been like 15 minutes of nothing since Steve can't do his fucking job. What do I pay you for? You have the movie pass. Go see movies.
I want to.
You make time.
Well, thanks for having me.
Sorry, hun. They're keeping me late.
Yeah, my version of an affair is not being with another woman. It's just sneaking off to the movies.
Yes.
I'm Paul Rudd from 40 Year Old. Knocked
This
Up.
is 40.
Knocked Up.
Is it?
Yeah, where he's playing fantasy baseball with his buddies.
No, This is 40, isn't it? Knocked
no,
Up.
not because Katherine Heigl's in the scene, and she's going with Seth Rogen, and she's like trying to convince her sister like it's not that bad.
And Seth Rogen makes a joke about them being like what a bunch of dorks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I know I'm right.
I know. Okay. Did you see James Franco like talking about Seth Rogen? Like, I guess we're not friends anymore.
I mean, all I saw
that guy.
Yeah, I mean, all I saw is just like, they don't work together anymore because of everything that happened.
Weird sex pervert.
Yeah, I mean, even if it like was totally untrue, like it was all made up or a scam by people to get money. It's just like, well, like either way, Seth Rogen's got to protect himself. It's like
my brand by associating with
Which I mean, it's like you could be like, well, I'm a true friend because I know he's wrongly convicted, but it's like at the same time, it's like, dude, like
I'm convicted of anything.
Oh yeah, it's like
just
like,
hearsay.
Dude, I love you, but like I can't be associated with you, regardless of if it's true or not. But anyway,
all right, let's get to our main topic, Vox Machina. So season 3 came and went, and within a month, I hate when I love when shows do it because I get to watch more.
Yeah,
but I hate it because it feels like, do you not have faith in your own shit? How much time and effort and money it takes to make animated stuff is a lot, and you're just gonna waste it on a month? You're not gonna spread this shit out for 12 weeks? I don't get the logic behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's kind of like a more niche market, like fantasy and animation. And I know that's like there's some aspects of it that's huge. Like, they have Lord of the Rings that they released every month, but that was also like big budget, like their Game of Thrones. Like that's the thing you want to talk about weekly and build hype for. Where this, it's like, well, it's maybe not for everybody, so we're just going to churn out 3 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked it week to week, but at the same time, like you said, it is nice that I can get 3 episodes in one night, and maybe it's just it has nothing to do with anything other than, well, we have content like scheduled to fill, and so we're just going to push this to a month, and then so we can
this will overlap with this, and so we have to. I get that, but because I was playing catch up, and I had gotten through like episode 8, and then the next day watch episode 9. By the time I got done with it, 10, 11, and 12 had dropped, and like, all right, I guess this is all I'm watching tonight.
Oh no!
But like I wish I did watch those first 3 episodes initially, because isn't episode 3 the hell episode, or is that 4?
I don't remember. I want to say it's episode 4.
Okay,
there you go.
But that episode, pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, episode 4 is when.
Yeah.
As soon as I got to episode 4, I was like, oh man, I can't wait for Bendis, because I think I've said it on here before. I love different interpretations of hell. I just want to see what people's ideas are, what cool, awful things you can see, or maybe it's something like totally left field where it doesn't actually seem that bad, even though it might be like, even because I didn't watch Preacher, but I just remember Preacher's version of hell was like it's kind of like a long, or at least one of the part that I saw was just like one long hallway, and each like door is someone's own personal hell, where they're just like reliving the worst moment of their life over and over again. But it's like on a projector screen kind of thing. And I was like, that's kind of a fun idea.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a barren wasteland and you're buried up to your neck, and
sometimes it's Constantine, where you're just like in L.A.
L.A., but it's either clouds or fire. Yeah.
But what dreams may come, also a great interpretation of hell.
Yeah, just very sad and desolate.
Yeah. Anyway.
But this one, kind of a classic monsters that are going to chew your face off and regurgitate you. Really violent and disgusting, but fun.
Yeah. My question to you would be, so in this version, it seems like you go to hell, there's all these demons, they mutilate you and rip you up and eat your arm while you're still alive, whatever. But you don't really see people like regenerating. So is it just you go to hell, get eaten or tortured for like a day, and then you're just kind of done?
And then you're done?
Or
I don't know. I assume that they regenerated. Like no matter what, they're going to rip your face off, it's going to grow back, and then they're going to rip your face off again.
Because at one point you see Pike like climbing a hill or like a tree or something that has like a human like from torso up that just looks, like they're dead. And I guess she's trying to like ease their pain.
Yeah, fuck you, Pike. Why are you doing that?
But so it just seems like, okay, so some of them are like you can. I didn't know the logic of hell, but I guess it doesn't really matter because we're only there for like an episode and a half, or whatever. But anyway, let's start from the beginning. What did you think of this season overall? Did you like it more than the other seasons? Is it just on par?
No, I think this was pretty good. Some of the things I like, Percy dying. He's not dead. I knew, like, the moment he dies, I'm like, okay, but you have healers in this world. They'll bring him back. Oh, they have a funeral and blah, blah, blah. No, they're not going to kill off one of these main characters. So I think some of the stakes are just, like, gone.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Keyleth can't control the earth power. She's going to die. No, she didn't. She's going to be the strongest of all of them, of course. Like, I just don't feel that there's any stakes, even though it feels like there should be stakes. I'm not worried for anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're on this boat and it's going to explode. You're fine. You could fly. You have a flying broom. You're fine. Oh, no. Peter Dinklage, or whatever the fuck his name is. Scanlan. He took a bad fall and we got to try to get him back. He's fine. He's going to be fine.
I mean, I think part of that is also, if this is 4 or 5 seasons, that these characters are going to...
But I think that would have been a bold thing. Like, you kill Percy, he's done. If that actor wanted to play a different character, they got a new party member, but no. He's actually gone. That would have been really fucking cool.
So, as someone who knows the lore versus someone who doesn't, you being the one who doesn't, where I'm no an expert, but I know a little bit more because I watched a ton of clips of it and I've read some stuff. There's actually a bunch of like, I don't want to say controversies, but like more fans were upset with this season than previous seasons because of certain changes, like Percy's whole death. Like, it's not surprising that Percy came back because in the episode where he died, like I think he does die fighting Ripley, but in like the same episode or the very next one of the stream, they just like cast a spell and he comes back.
Oh, okay.
Which is a common thing in D&D.
Yeah.
Like, you can have a character die, and as long as you have this spell and like use it within like a minute or whatever.
And did he die because like he failed a roll or something?
I mean, that's usually how people die.
Okay.
Like, you get hit, you go to 0 hit points, you roll your death saves, and then if you fail 3 times, then your character is permanently dead, unless you cast like a wish spell or something, which is very hard to do. Anyway, God, I'm nerdy. But it was just like in the same episode he came back.
Okay.
Versus this, where they actually kept him dead for a while, and people were just like, well, it's a shame because he is in that fight with Thordak, and he does like some really cool stuff in that fight. So we never get to see that.
Shut up! You're not going to get every bit interpreted.
But I mean, I think for me as someone who, it adds some like, you're not quite sure what's going to happen for the show because they're going to have to take liberties because they're totally different mediums. And also it keeps the fans guessing, but also I think it makes sense story-wise. Like, if you want there to be somewhat of stakes. Like, yeah, you know he's gonna come back, but like let these characters feel that death and feel that tragedy and feel that rage versus like they feel it for 5 minutes in game and then he's back again.
Yep.
Because it's so easy to revive people who die in a D&D game, where like in a show you kind of want you want them to fail more because you need to see that you want to see that progression of those characters and what death means to them, and you don't get that if it's like, oh yeah, he dies, but like that's the Marvel shit that people always keep getting pissed off about. It's like, oh, there's no stakes because you just bring back all the heroes, but at least in the movies, like Black Widow dying, you feel like sad because that was like one that like stayed at least for a while, and then you get the Black Widow movie or whatever.
But that was a prequel, so it's fine.
Yeah, but it just I think it makes sense to like let a character be gone for a couple episodes. But then Scanlan's like, oh, his body's fully healed, but his mind isn't right, so we have to like get his daughter to come back and sing a song to him or whatever it was. Some of the stuff in this season I feel like kind of hinges on like cliches that I don't necessarily love but are fine with, because sometimes they're cliches because they work. Like Pike's whole like, I can't get the armor to work, but it's only because like I'm doubting myself. The true power was inside of me all along. I was just like, whatever. But let me say, that scene of her like absorbing the fire and shooting it back and like blowing his crystal out, like beautifully done. Like the when it like hits Thordak and the like kind of explosion ripples behind him, just great, fantastic shot. So what I think the show does great and has done great every season is they know how to do an action sequence.
Oh yeah,
I think this show is a ton of fun, especially like Vax's super speed that isn't really a thing too much in D&D, but I guess you could kind of interpret it as such. All his shit's cool.
Yeah, I liked his little spinning attack through the chest of the dragon. That was pretty great. But I think the best dragon fight was the ice dragon fighting the demon.
I knew you were going to bring it up.
That is so fucking cool. It's like, yeah, hey, we can't fight this thing on our own. Get a bigger guy to help you out. Let them duke it out for a bit. And then
it was like watching Kong versus Godzilla. I think in the game they all just teamed up with. I think they brought in guest stars like the sorcerer chick and the hammer dwarf girl, Akina and Allure were their names in the show.
I don't like them, and I didn't like the guy that got smushed. He has like the I guess, is that a dragonborn person that he was dating? The red girl with the
she's
horn?
a tiefling.
Okay, it's like they show up, and I'm like, I know they're on this show, but I don't remember anything that they've done. I just know what's her face from Brooklyn Nine-Nine's voice is like, okay, I remember hearing her voice before, but these characters show up like, we're here for the battle. I'm like, who the fuck are you again? I don't remember any of you people.
Yeah, the show being so short, you definitely, unless you're familiar with the stream, you're kind of like, oh yeah, these people were in one episode, and I know they were important in that episode, but I don't feel like they were such scene stealers that I would remember them later. I think it helps build the world having these like cast of recurring characters to keep them back up. And I think that they all, when they show up, they do cool stuff. But I'm like, I don't remember who they are or what connection they have to who and all that stuff. But they're not really that important.
No, but they're in it a lot.
Yeah. But the demon gorilla coming through, I don't think was part of the stream. That's a change for the show. Yeah. And I fucking thought it was sweet. Yeah. And the fact that he did a stone cold stunner on it.
Stunned
I couldn't believe it.
That was amazing.
I was like, not only is that stupid as shit, but it's just so awesome.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see a gorilla demon stone cold stunnering an ice dragon.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then to kill it by, hey, let's grow a huge tree off of its heart. Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're done with these dragons. We're done. We killed them.
Or are they, Ben?
Come on, please don't.
I'm just kidding.
And then even at the end, it's just like, haha, I have his body, and I'm going to put myself in that body. I'm like, God, we just got done with these dragons. Can't we be done with them? So I'm glad we are done with those. Let's get some other data. I remember they teased something at the end. Oh, some cult thing?
Yeah. I think in this show they call him the Whispered One. I don't know if they've officially said that on the show, but I think that's what's been going around the internets at least, is because they can't use his actual name because that's owned by D&D.
Oh, okay.
So they have to come up with a different name, just like the matron of ravens in the show. I think in D&D is called like the Queen of Ravens or something like that. Like they have to change some things up to legally be okay using this stuff. But anywho,
Like I'd say it's a good season, but there are plenty of times where we calm down and we're just doing normal stuff and like, okay, cool. Not everything has to be high octane action. But then my eyes start drifting and looking at my phone like, I bet there's more interesting things on there than what I'm seeing on TV. Because sometimes it got a little boring.
yeah, I feel like I don't remember being bothered by the pacing of season 1 or 2. Where this one I did feel kind of like, all right, well, this is just like, I don't know, a filler episode, where this episode just kind of feels weirdly out of place with things. Because it just feels like Thordak should have been the big finale, because it's the big, epic, huge battle against this giant fire dragon, who's like been the main bad guy from season 2 to now, and then you defeat him, and then we got 3 episodes left. And while I enjoyed the last 3 episodes, it kind of just felt like I don't care as much now, because it's just getting back. Like the whole point of these next 3 episodes is just to revive Percy, and then we're just waiting.
Keyleth learning her power to read the earth.
Sure. Which I like Keyleth a lot, but I also don't care about her story as much as everyone else's.
Yeah, it's hard. I know we've talked about like who's your favorite character, and it's hard to pick one because I don't really care about any of them.
Yeah,
I like them all as a group, and they work together. But picking out one individual person, I'm like, nah, they're probably the worst. And then I think of any other character and go, nah, that one's the worst. And like, damn, are they all the worst?
Yeah, they're all bad people, but they're doing good things.
It's like I would never say I want to watch a spin-off of one person.
Yeah,
none of them are good enough to carry something on their own. If they're not together, I really don't care about any of them.
Yeah. I think and maybe I just need to go back and watch season 1 or 2, because Keyleth's whole thing is she's going on this spiritual journey of like completing her Aramente or whatever, to like master the elements and come back and be the leader of her people. But I really don't have a sense of her people or why she's the one, because like I forget, like, is she just from a royal family, or like did something virtual happen and she was chosen?
Yeah, she is the chosen one.
Yeah, it just what was it about her? And if she is sort of this grand person, why is she fucking hanging out with these losers?
Yeah. And like at one point she like masters the fire instantly, unless she did in a previous season, but I don't remember that.
She goes to the fire people, I think, in season 2.
Okay.
And there's like this big firewall that I think she's trying to like hold closed or something, because I think demons or something are coming out of it, and then is able to master fire to close it up, or
if you say so.
Yeah. See, I remember some things.
It just felt like she's the master of fire now. Doesn't use it as often as she should until you do the one cool action scene where she does it.
Well, then I imagine it takes a lot of magical energy to do it, so it's not something you can just pull off at any.
Yeah, that's
any
always
moment.
the thing too, of just like, oh, I can't heal you guys right now. I'm too weak. And then other scenes like, yep, heal, just heal you all. It's inconsistent. But still, like it. Still, good show. I recommend it to. I have buddies at work who like read the Robin Hobb books and like fantasy. I'm like, well, how come you're not watching this? I'm like, I've never even heard of that. So, like, I would recommend it to most people, but it's also a show I just don't care about. Like if they're like, yeah, we cancel it, no season 4, season 5, I'm like, oh well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I would be a little bit more bummed, because I do enjoy this show, and especially now that it's been 3 seasons, I wanted to see it continue. But they just got picked up for season 4.
I want to see their other
other show is
campaigns.
coming out.
Yeah.
I think next year.
Because it's the same world, but like thousands of years in the future or something.
No, it's the same world. Like I think a couple years
Oh,
later.
oh, because there's like a robot in it, so I assumed it was like a.
No, oh well, the newest one I think is the furthest in the future.
Uh-huh.
But I think everyone from all three of their campaigns could exist in the same time period
Okay.
as now. Although this season you do when they go to hell, they run into Xerxes, I think his name is, who is actually from a 4-part mini campaign that Brennan Lee Mulligan ran for Critical Role, which is like
Not the guy that was playing cards with her.
no,
right?
no, that wasn't
Okay.
Brennan,
Okay.
but he was an actor on that stream who
Okay.
played that character, so they brought him in to reprise his role. And
Wait, that was Brandon Lee Mulligan doing the voice?
no,
Oh, okay.
the Brennan Lee Mulligan was the DM for those 4 episodes.
Uh-huh.
The player who played Xerxes
God.
or whatever his name is came back to play that role, which I don't believe was in the stream either, but it was kind of like a fun take. It's like, oh, here's this, because the 4-part episode was like super popular among those fans and like really well received. And so like you kind of get a glimpse into this thing that is like the history of like this, because the calamity happened and the world changed or whatever. So at some point we'll probably get that animated. But it was just kind of like a fun little like, hey fans, this thing that came out a year ago, like look, we're making reference to it now in this show, so it'll pay off later. And it's like, oh, okay, they're doing the work, so that's pretty fun.
Do they have their own set of writers, or is it these voice actors and everything? Do you know if they've actually written the show, or have they just handed it off to more professional writers?
If I remember correctly, none of them are writing any of the episodes because they all kind of already wrote the episodes themselves when they streamed it.
Sure.
They're just getting writers to take all their info, and I'm sure they all have some input because they are all producers and creators and the stuff on the show. But they're getting actual like screenwriters to write the scripts.
All right, two questions. One, watching it, all the action, I was like, man, I kind of want to play this, but I don't want a turn-based RPG or anything. I want to play an action game of this.
It's called Skyrim.
Like have there ever been any talks, to
or
adapt it?
Why did I say Baldur's Gate? It's Baldur's Gate.
To adapt it in any sort of way, do you know?
Not that I know of. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I know that they just had a super successful Kickstarter to launch their own like role-playing game. So I think maybe I mentioned it to you before, but the pretty obvious rumor is that after campaign 3 is over, they're going to distance themselves from Dungeons and Dragons and just play their own game. That way they don't have to worry about any other bullshit, because it's just like, well, this is our own thing that we own, and it's all.
Is it in this same world?
No. It would be. I think. Well, I guess you theoretically could make it that way, but I could just see them going like, nope. Like
it's kind of like what Dimension 20 does. Like they do role playing games, but they're not Dungeons and Dragons. They do school stuff and
I mean they pretty much use the Dungeons and Dragons system, but then just change like, because all the Dungeons and Dragons is like you can change the rules and change whatever to fit whatever theme you want to. So
when you say they make their own game, what's different about
it? Just like certain rules, and they play it. There's like a card element. I'm not an expert on it because but another thing is like you roll 2 die and 2 d20s every time, and there's like I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's very similar, but it's not a Dungeons and Dragons game. It's a Critical Role game that they own and made themselves.
And it's not like
it's still fantasy based. It's still you're coming up with your own
characters. It's not like, hey, you want to play as Vox Machina? Here's our Vox Machina game.
They did come out with their own stuff in association with D&D. Like there's a book of like, well, the Book of Taldore or whatever, which is the world he created. So you can play within that world, but that's partially owned by Dungeons and Dragons. They're like compatible with Dungeons and Dragons, where this is once again, completely separate. Anyway, that's just them as a company.
Okay.
But what else about the season? I think the Rayshawn Thordak zombie thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was in the stream either. I think they just fought Rayshawn and Thordak at the same time, and I think defeated them both around the same time.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I did like her going like, "Eat my poison." Blah! Yeah, I expected it to do a little bit more, but yeah, whatever.
So I know you said you don't really like anybody, but if you had to pick a favorite, who's your favorite? Or do you have just a least favorite?
I don't really care for Pike or Scanlan.
Okay.
Freaking gnomes, little people. Don't like them. No. I just, I don't know. I can't relate to the religious one and the talented Lothario. You know, like they're very two opposite ends of the spectrum, and that's not me. I guess Keyleth, just because I like elemental stuff. The twins just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Vex is my least favorite, just because I feel like of all the character work, she gets the least to do.
Yeah. She just sounds like fucking Cersei from Game of Thrones every time she talks.
Like she's cool and like kind of like the unofficial leader of the group, but I just
is she
more or less like.
And you get to see her naked this season.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. They
got to finally hook up everyone.
Yeah, this is putting the adultness back in the show. Like it's a violent show, and they drop the occasional F-bombs, but like there's fucking in the show now.
No nipples, no dongs, but plenty of side boob,
I mean, I didn't need to see any of that stuff, but it was like still shocking because.
Because I think when
it's not like Family Guy nudity, but suddenly it's just like, oh, this is kind of like this looks realistic. This is freaky.
I think I like checked my phone for something, and in the corner of my eye, I saw her like open the door, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on, let me rewind this. What am I missing here?
Yeah. So we get some relationship stuff. I mean, the show's more the same, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
And. Yeah, get us a little tease of what's to come. We've now got to the end of the season 3, and they've all kind of coupled up and gone on their own separate journeys, and we'll see what happens with that. That's another thing that was kind of a big, quote unquote controversy on the Reddits, was because I guess in the campaign, Scanlan had this big blow up because he got way too drunk and passed out, and so like all of his friends like drew penises on his face or whatever. Okay. And so he got like really offended by that and, yelled at everybody. And it was like this big dramatic moment on the show where they all like goof off or whatever. And they're like, oh, they can't wait to see this animated. And they just kind of like didn't do that. Instead, they're just like, well, my daughter came back, so we're just going to go off. And I think a lot of fans were disappointed that they're missing some of that stuff.
Fuck fans.
Yeah.
Fuck fans. You're not going to get everything.
But all in all, I really enjoyed this season, and I'm glad it got picked up for season 4 because I guess they were greenlit for 3, and the reason they didn't give that big dramatic send off to Scanlan because they don't know if they're gonna get a 4, so they kind of like left it as an ambiguous happy ending for everybody, and they defeated the big bad dragon. But yeah, season 4 is coming, and Mighty 9's coming next year too. I'm looking forward to both. Do you have any other thoughts on this season? Favorite moments, things you didn't...
You didn't say who's your favorite. You said your least favorite.
Oh, my favorite? Probably... I know I did complain about her, but probably Keyleth.
Yeah.
Because in theory I like Scanlan, but I think most of his jokes don't land. Same with Grog. Like, Grog's cool, but most of his jokes don't land for me.
He did have a good moment this season where he's just like, everyone shut up. You do this and you do that. And then like, what happened? I just blacked out. Like, it's nice to see him to take a lead and not just be like, who should I punch?
I want to really like Pike, but I just don't think they've done enough with her for me to go like, yeah, she's cool. Vax is just your brooding. I mean, I like that he's kind of this damned character. I think that's really cool. And he definitely gets the best action sequences, but I'm just the dark, brooding guy I've seen so many times I don't care about.
Mhm.
So it would really just be between Percy and Keyleth.
Yeah.
And honestly, no, I take it back. Percy's my favorite.
Okay.
I don't love guns in fantasy too much,
But it's done.
but I think his character arc has been the best on the show, from like
But I'm glad
being tormented by a demon, then
Sure.
on a quest for vengeance, and then
fighting his sister
Yeah,
and
and,
his homeland
like,
getting destroyed.
I think his shit
Yeah.
is the best.
Yeah, probably he has the best story and the most story of everyone.
Yeah.
But
So I say Percy.
I was glad he got shot because, he does the stupid thing that so many heroes do of like, I've killed a bunch of people and minions all my life, but I'm going to spare your life because we all deserve a second chance. And like, yeah, okay, you're an idiot. You deserve to die. You should have killed her right there. And
Bad guys be bad guys.
I know. And I liked her as a bad guy. I like her third arm,
The third arm was cool, and then the cloak that you would catch magic arrows and shoot out the other side. It's just an awesome little detail.
And then she takes an arrow to the forehead. That was pretty cool too.
No, through the throat.
Oh, through the throat. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, through the mouth. Actually, that's what it was.
Halfway in between throat and forehead, mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely plenty of great stuff in this show, and I look forward to more. I think that's all I got to say about that.
Cool.
Sorry if I bored you with lore talk.
No.
Sometimes you ask me questions, so I'm just getting ahead of them. And then sometimes you're like, Steve, shut the fuck up. I didn't care about any of those questions.
Well, what's next week? I looked, and there's like jack shit. It's
You're gonna watch the My Hero Academia movie.
Absolutely. Okay, hey, I'll go watch it, and then be like, I don't know what any of these characters, what their journeys are. I don't know these powers.
Just the Tom Hanks Here.
Oh yeah, Here.
Oh.
Halloween movie.
Yeah, it's Here and fuck.
Is there anything streaming coming out?
A Real Pain that Kieran Culkin, Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh, I'd see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm excited to see
It's
it.
not coming to people. No, it's not coming to our theater.
Boo.
That sucks. That trailer was on everything. That was like the new Speak No Evil. Saw that trailer so many times.
Coraline anniversary screening and Godzilla re-release.
I think
I don't care about any of this shit.
the week after that is like the best Christmas pageant ever.
You know what? Let movie theaters die. Fuck it.
But the week after that, I think is Heretic. And I'm excited for that one.
Oh, that's the Hugh Grant one, right?
Yeah. Heard lots of good stuff. All right, well, probably a whole lot of nothing unless there's some cool streaming thing, but I don't know, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Or we'll do a Make Me Watch, We keep saying that we're going to do one of those. I got tons of movies I want you and Nick to watch, so we'll figure something out. All right, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Threads. Hit us up with all your questions, comments, and concerns. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.